What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Filsinger Games Character Spotlight with Mike and Brock.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Brock. And today we're going to take a break from the official world of Filsinger Games and go to the underbelly of the bootleg community and talk about the stuff we've made throughout the years.
Yep. So how things been going on your end?
It's been a little crazy. My daughter had COVID and she got it pretty bad. Ended up in Children's Hospital for a little bit, but she bounced back very quickly because they know what they're doing there, and they got her up and walking again in just a day. So it was nice. She's all better now. She's getting back to her normal self, which is an ornery teenager, but she's good to go. The weather here is crazy though. It never stops snowing. It warms up for a couple hours, melts everything, and then refreezes. And then we just have ice on top of snow, on top of snow, on top of ice. And it's a mess.
Yeah, we look forward to the snow because it's been so cold up here that it gets to the point where it can't snow because there's not enough moisture in the air. So it bounces around between -20 to -40. And let's see, if I do the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion. Let's see, I'll do this in my head. Let's see, multiply, the War of 1812 loss. Again, add the number of cheese curds in a bowl of poutine and divide by Wayne Gretzky's number. And it'll be anywhere from -4 to about -32 for you.
Nice. Yeah. We usually get that in February here. Those really, really cold days.
Yeah, that's usually, we get them in streaks. So it'll warm up for like a day, snow, and then the temperature will bottom out again.
Just to make a mess.
Yep. Just to let you know, hey, it's very cold.
Yeah, we have nowhere left to put snow. We got about 8 inches to a foot last Monday. And then over the weekend, we got another 4 to 6. And we got another 3 today. So it's just, and it warms up for a couple hours at a time just to freeze a nice layer of ice on top of everything. It's been fun.
Yeah. Well, here's the other thing too, since there was a question that was asked on Uncharted Territory, and then the roll-up guys in it. What's your favorite fast food place?
McDonald's all the way. Chicken McNuggets are my favorite thing in the world.
Really? Last time I ate chicken McNuggets, I can honestly say, was in Jamestown. I was with Jack, Todd, and Jeff, and we had a few wobbly pops. Okay. Went back to Jack and Todd's room, and I think I sat down and ate a 20-pack.
That's my go-to, is a 20-piece McNugget.
Yeah. Now, my favorite would be Harvey's. It's a Canadian burger chain up here.
Okay.
And their burgers are all like, do your conversion again, 1/3 pound burgers.
Nice. Yeah, we don't have those here.
And you go up and they got like 25 toppings, and you just pick. I want that, and
like Subway.
Yeah, it's basically Subway, but for a burger.
Sounds awesome.
And so that's my go-to fast food joint. Cool. If need be, we got a place called Fast Eddie's, which is a cross between McDonald's. I mean, not McDonald's, White Castle.
Okay.
And like a random mom and pop's burger chain. Like you can get sliders, 39-cent burgers. Really? 39?
What's in those?
And but they have chili cheese fries. You just can't go wrong there. And their milkshakes are so thick you suck on them and you feel your eyeballs sucking down the back of your head.
Nice.
So it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm a big McDonald's fan. I also enjoy Arby's.
Yeah, they've closed almost all the Arby's up here.
They just opened one right down the street from me. I could walk to it.
We just got our very first Chick-fil-A
Ooh,
open up.
there you go.
It's in the next town over. I haven't been there yet. It's about a 25-minute drive if I wanted to go.
Cool.
But I have been eating some Burger King lately.
Okay.
Their Whoppers. I've been getting into their Whoppers. The Whopper Wednesday. I'll go down. It's like a deal for a Whopper, and hey.
My go-to at Burger King is the original chicken sandwich that comes on the long bun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my go-to there.
Yeah. And McDonald's, I really don't eat a lot at McDonald's. If I do, I just grab a fry or I wait for the McRib.
I'm not a fan of the McRib. I love the fries though. They're
I
the
don't
best
like
fast
the
food
onions
fries.
I get the McRib without the onion. Just
Okay.
get rid of the onion. Yep, there we go.
I like how they have a mold to make ribs.
Yeah. I don't think about that part.
Yeah, right. It's like when you bite into a chicken McNugget, don't look at it. Just keep eating it.
Yep. Just drown it in the sauce and eat away. No, so we can pop into our topics. We'll let you go first.
Okay.
So at one point you created dance club, your dance club promotion, and now it's NDW.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to come up with both of those.
The dance club wrestling came out of the wrestling ban that happened in the GWF story at the end when President Cardenas banned wrestling. So they became it was an underground fed that operated out of nightclubs. And it was like kind of hush hush that it was actually wrestling going on, and that it was kind of like a speakeasy wrestling promotion. And if they got caught, they would say it was just choreographed. And so it was just part of the nightclub scene. I ran with that for a good 5 years.
I remember some of the guys for it. I
Mm-hmm.
think I have a few of those.
Yeah, definite power creep in that. I look back at a lot of that stuff. Some of the concepts were cool, but execution wasn't there. But Johnny Excitement spun out of that. Halloween Hank spun out of that. I use Halloween Hank, a different version of him in Next Dimension Wrestling now. But I kind of tried to progress the story. So when Dance Club Wrestling ended, I did this promotion called Next Wrestling that I just did on a website. I don't even know if those have been floating around. I saw them pop up a couple places on the boards recently, PDFs for those. And then it just evolved into the Next Dimension Wrestling, which is just a continuation of all that. So the history's still kind of there. It's a little muddy just because characters that I like, I didn't want to age out. So I kind of doctored the timeline a little bit. But it's always been an ongoing thing, which I find kind of neat. But Next Dimension Wrestling, it started with my attempt to get my friends from our gaming group at the comic book store into the game. So I had everybody create characters. A lot of guys just based them on themselves. A lot of guys created different characters, that they would like to see in wrestling, I guess. But it's a definite group effort. So there's, probably 20 people now involved that have created characters for that stuff. And that's the stuff I play with on Twitch. But most of the Dance Club Wrestling characters that I made were characters that I rolled up for Palladium's Aliens Unlimited game. Because I can never find anyone to play that game with me. Because you're familiar with Palladium, so it's so convoluted.
Yeah, all their universes can be used in each other's worlds.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I thought, the aliens, with this Champions of the Galaxy, so I created all these characters based on that, and they were all rolled up randomly, and I would just basically take characteristics of the different abilities they got and incorporate that into their moveset, which I don't know if I've ever told anybody that, but that's where a good majority of those characters came from, were rolled completely randomly in Aliens Unlimited from Palladium. So that's why you got some goofy aliens and stuff like that in there. And then I'd change their home worlds to be Champions of the Galaxy home worlds to make it fit in better with that.
Yeah, I've seen a few, because I watch your Twitch streams, and so I've seen a few of the guys. I really like the black, blue, and now the Agent Orange.
Okay. That's
I
Kevin
like those.
Butcher creation, the Agent Orange.
Yeah, I like those guys. I like the Halloween Hank.
It's the second Halloween Hank, the original
Yeah,
retired.
like the color version you have.
Okay. The original Halloween Hank was printed on orange cardstock, though. if you have one of those.
No, I do not. And the Flareon.
My nephew created Ric Flareon.
Yeah, and I like the two bird guys, Falcon, who's named after one of your comic book subscribers.
Yes. The story behind the Birds of Prey is we had a guy come into the comic book store who made an alias whenever Ken co-created the Birds of Prey with me. Came in on a Sunday when both of us were off. He was a guy who, he killed his sub multiple times because he would just abandon it and wouldn't pick up and all that stuff. So he came in whenever the kids were working on Sunday. He created an account under an assumed name of Ram Xavier. So that's where that whole storyline came from. So we took a bird and a Marvel superhero last name, because he was Ram Xavier, but we just went with birds because we also parodied all the bird NFL mascots. So you had Falcon Parker. He's from Hawkinsville, Georgia, which is a real place. And then Eagle Richards is from Eaglesmere, Pennsylvania, which is also a real place. So, and it's right near Philadelphia. And then the Hawkinsville, Georgia is near Atlanta. So it's just these little towns that we found that were real. And then we had the whole thing play out. And then their third was Cardinal Maxwell. And he later turned on them, and it was revealed that he was actually a parakeet animan whenever he took his mask off.
I have him, Cardinal Maxwell. He teams up in my one promotion I use as part of the God Squad.
Nice.
So he's teamed with Soul Watcher.
Okay, I love that Soul Watcher card.
The Ed Davis card,
mm-hmm.
And the Masked Evangelist.
Yes.
Who you guys base that on? I can't remember who created that. You were Sam or your dad?
I think it was a collection of the three of us because we ran into him at a show you were on.
Yeah. He was. I trained him.
Okay.
And I remember because after the show, I come up. I'm like, hey, I said, there's some guys that want to meet you. And I said, and two of them are pastors, and he freaked the hell out. He thought he was going to get yelled at. And then he found out that you guys were so into the character.
Yeah, we loved it.
And it was funny because he'd bring his actual collection. He brought a collection plate.
Uh-huh.
And he'd pass it around, and the fans would literally throw money in it.
Uh-huh.
And he'd make beer money and food money enough. After the show, he's got he's got himself a burger and a beer. It was
That's
awesome.
Great. Is he still active?
No. He retired a while ago. He switched gimmicks. He went to a guy named Ricky Stardust.
Okay.
And he did more along the lines of like an Adrian Street type.
Okay, cool.
Gimmick.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I loved it. It was just so. I'd never seen anyone do something like that before, passing the collection plate and stuff like that. And then didn't he hit the guy with it at the end too?
Yeah, he'd take the money out, put it in his pocket, and then hit the people with the. So it looked like he's stealing from the church.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, we based the whole stable around him. Yeah, we had like a choir director that was. Yeah, it got a little carried away, but we had a whole menagerie around him. There was an anime cow called Holy Cow. We had the choir director, which was Amazing Grace.
I have Amazing Grace as their manager.
Who else there was the board of deacons that just criticized everything that he did. They had a chart on the back of his card that we'd roll after his match, and they would just run down everything that he did, what he did wrong. Yeah, that was a fun stable. And we did a Brimstonian that called Soulfire. who was a convert of his, joined the little group. Sam and I keep talking about going back to that and just adding to that group, just because, or at least colorizing it or something, just because we thought we had so much fun with it.
Oh, the master. He's a great character. He's one of my favorite guys, just because he fit in so well with some already pre-existing characters. So I had an idea for him, and then you know, he's not super strong. He's that middle of the road guy. He's got the big finisher, but he's got good offense but horrible defense.
Yeah. Yeah. I might have to colorize him. Maybe just put him up on the website or something like that. People can download.
Yeah.
Might be fun. Make sure he's into the rules and all that, because I'm sure there's a couple rules violations on there.
Oh, if I go back on some of the early stuff.
Yeah, I was so glad when they published those rules. Every once in a while, still I get something that slips through. And it bugs me after, because I'll notice it after I go to print and I'm playing with it again. Like, oh man, because I can't believe I did that. It's like a choice, wrong choice letter on a level of offense or something like that.
Tim Dalton and myself back in 1995, if I can find it, made a random character generation chart.
Nice.
And I brought it to the convention, and we actually, to enter the tournament, you had to roll up your character.
Mm-hmm.
And play it out. And I think Fire won it.
Okay.
Smokes on Jared.
Yeah.
I think he won the tournament with it.
That's cool. I like stuff like that. I love random stuff.
I think he beat Frank in the finals.
Yes. So yeah, Next Dimension Wrestling, it started in GWF year 2132, and I released something up through 2136, and then I took a break. So I'm like, I need to play this myself to keep the ideas fresh. So that's why I went on to Twitch, and I have a plan where eventually it's all going to come together, where this is the actual timeline that I'm playing live on Twitch. So these new characters like Agent Orange and Malefic Rage that I made to be giveaways on the channel will actually have history within the Fed when we get to that point. But we're a long ways off. Hey, there's the sticker. Yeah, I just wanted to do something for Halloween, and that's where that came from. So you've also made quite a collection of bootlegs throughout the years, and you had an association with probably the most famous bootleg group and sets with the NGO. Tell us how that all came to be.
Yeah, it's kind of weird with the NGO, because people have asked me before how I got involved with it, and it was just what happened was during one of the conventions, where they all, I can't remember the years, so where they did the very first NGO invasion,
mm-hmm.
and then they were selling the T-shirts and everything. So Leslie Filsinger asked me if I could drive Steve Minskoff back to the airport in Buffalo because she didn't have time. And she goes, well, since it's on your way. And so I was down there with another wrestler that I brought down, Colin Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, sure. No problem. Colin myself didn't care. So we're driving back, and Minskoff's in the back seat, and he's moved himself to the middle of the back seat so we can see him in the rearview mirror. He's not sitting behind either one of us. We can do the shoulder check.
Yeah.
He's just talking about all kinds of stuff along the way. And then about half hour into the ride, he's like, so what do you think? What do you think? He's like, that whole invasion. He goes, you see the look on Tom's face? And he was like a kid in a candy store. He thought it was great.
I'm
telling him like it was awesome. I'm like, he goes, we got to think of stuff to do for next year. And I'm like, what you should do? He goes, what? I'm like, make a set. Mm-hmm. I said, make like a 6-card set. I said, make like you as you could be, Millionaire Steve and the fat guy Tim Dalton. I said, everybody makes their own cards and wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you could have, big chatty cool. And I said, get Bob Hoffa as your manager.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And he's like, well, who would we get to draw? And I'm like, I can always ask Randy. And Bugdale. And he's like, oh yeah, he did the art for Tiger Mask and the Circus of Terror and all that. And I'm like, yeah. So I get home and time had passed, I don't know, and all of a sudden I get a call from Tim, and he's like, hey, we're gonna make an NGO set. He's like, do you want to make 2 characters for it? And I was kind of shocked. I'm like, I think I got invited because they're worried that if they didn't invite me, Randy wasn't going to do the art.
Sounds about right.
That's the only reason I think I got the invite. Yeah, we're all friends.
Yeah.
But I wasn't part of that whole original. I had no idea it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I'm like, well, what should we do? And they're like, well, we're trying to make it edgy. I'm like, okay. So that's when I come up with Sensational Julian and the Gimp,
which are 2 of my favorites from that set.
And, I had only been wrestling a little bit at that point, and I'd always wanted to do an Adrian Street gimmick, but I myself didn't feel comfortable enough doing it. Like now I could do it, but when I was starting off,
yeah,
I was still trying to find myself and my character. And so that's where I made Julian. And the Gimp I just straight up stole from Pulp Fiction.
Nice.
And then the following year I did Manu and Annabelle.
Okay.
Yeah, I did Manu and Annabelle. So I liked using Caddy.
Okay. The first creator wrestler winner.
Character wrestler.
Yeah.
So I wanted a Samoan tag team. Well, because I still viewed myself as an outsider, and I didn't want to make any top level guys, because for me, I'm a kid playing in their sandbox.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So Sensational Julian and the Gimp, I think they were a fairly solid team. But for Manu, I dropped him down. And could I have made him a little tougher? Yeah, easily. But I didn't want them to dominate.
Yeah.
And so, Manu actually means bird in the Samoan language, or what? And so that's where I got the idea for him. And Annabelle was because I had the idea for the Circus of Terror or sideshow. In my head, I've changed her name a couple times, but currently I use the Circus of Terror, which is Cor, Magician of the Orient, and Walter,
the geek.
Yeah, and so with them, I had the idea to make a whole family of circus people.
That's usually what it was.
Yeah, they're all brothers and sisters and cousins and so on. And so Annabelle, I got the idea for she'd be a big, a strong character off the start, but she's so overweight as the longer the match went, the worse she got.
Yeah.
And so when Randy did the art, when Randy does artwork, a lot of the times the faces are people he knows, or he just straight up and copy. Like one of the Inquisitors, I think, was Kurt Hennig.
Yeah.
Or Bill Clinton was one
of Malibu.
Malibu. So Annabelle was his cousin because she wasn't that big. He goes, but she had a fat personality. So she wasn't a nice person. So he he put her as Annabelle.
Nice.
And so she was the fat woman in my circus, in the Circus of Terror. And in the final year, I did Mr. Frost. Now, his original name wasn't Mr. Frost. It was Clyde Monroe. But I wasn't allowed that name because Tim and Steve put a kibosh on it, because I guess it belonged to some combination of like the Knicks 1970s backcourt. And I have no idea. Okay. They just said, no, it's too close to their names. And I'm like, oh, okay. I still have no idea who they're talking about to this day.
Oh, there you go.
But I had wanted that name. So I'm like, who do I think of? Well, I was reading the Hulk comics,
Mhm.
So I'm like, Mr. Frost, because he was the current bad guy that the Hulk was fighting.
Okay.
He had, and the whole thing was he was going to be, like like a Las Vegas gangster type.
Is that when Hulk was Joe Fix-It?
Yeah, it was kind of like he was going to be like Joe Fix-It basically,
Mm-hmm.
but not the Hulk. So I still want him a big guy, and he was fixes everybody's fixes the boss's problems,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was going to be the boss's right hand man.
Okay, that's cool.
Didn't always wrestle, but he was
Mhm.
going to be Mr. Hoffa's right hand man. So he was Mr. Hoffa, Mr. Frost, and
Nice.
then the final guy was Corbin, the ringmaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember because Tim didn't like the fact that I had Core and Corbin, but I was building up a storyline. So Core and Corbin, I have as twins, so they're fraternal twins.
Okay.
So that's why their names are so similar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all going to be revealed in if we did the final set.
Yeah.
I had a strong man coming in, and I had an acrobat.
Ooh.
Down between an acrobat and a contortionist. The contortionist, I had a rule where submissions didn't work on him.
That's cool.
Just big deal, he can bend every which way.
I do that to myself.
Yeah. And the acrobat, so I hadn't fully decided yet, but that's where I was going, and I was just going to keep adding people because they're brothers, sisters, cousins, and so on.
Yeah.
But that was the whole storyline between Core and Corbin, was because they were cousins or brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Walter was a cousin, and Annabelle was their sister. It was all going to be finally revealed.
Okay. I still keep bugging Chad to do that final set.
Yeah. Will it happen? I don't know. Like 1999 was the last.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, a lot's happened since then.
And then I did a set years ago during the Club Galactica. Now this is going back to the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
We did the Dream Federation. So I don't know if you were part of any. I don't think you were even around back then.
No, I didn't come in until 97.
So the Dream Federation, what we did is they made up Chad, Mark, Matt, could be Myron, a bunch of them. That they made a random character generation.
Mm-hmm.
So we send in our ideas, and they roll up the character and make them, and then they run a fed and they post the results.
Okay, that's cool.
And so everybody was filling in the name. That there was the heel Tim Dalton. I remember Kirk the Highlander Campbell and David Goliath Fisher. And so I got the idea for Rob. I'm like, why don't we just put in judge and jury, the Supreme Court?
Mm-hmm.
No one knows who we are, just judge and jury. So I asked Mark, and Mark's like, yeah, great idea. And then people were really, who are these guys? Who are these guys? And even at the first Galacticon, Myron was like, we got to figure out who these guys are. And it was just kind of neat. But I got the original cards from Mark, and so I filled them out. I had Paul Barnes do the artwork.
Nice.
And yeah, there's some rule breaking on the back.
We all did that.
And well, because I just tried to take it originally from Mark.
Yeah.
Like the actual stuff that they used.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I fixed up a couple, but then I made a guy named Brodich, who was my tribute to Bruiser Brody. So it was between Brodich and Brody. And he's called the Intelligent Monster. And his whole gimmick, and Paul Barnes again did the art. And the whole gimmick behind him was he fell in love with BBC television. And so he did all his interviews in a fake British accent.
Love it.
And then the final guy made a guy. Now this is going back. I released this set 15 roughly years ago. And it was the year Necro Butcher showed up.
Okay. That was probably like 2010, 2011, somewhere in that area.
Yeah. So that's when I released this set.
Okay.
So I made a guy called the Champ. And he gets better when he holds a title. So he's almost like the tournament master, but he's better when he holds a title.
Yeah.
But on him, he's a ring B, but on a roll of 10, 11, or 12, if he's got a title and he rolls, out of the ring and rolls 10 or 11 or 12, he just takes his belt and leaves. Takes the count out loss.
Nice.
I've had enough. That was his gimmick.
That's cool. Which we've all seen on indie shows.
Yep. And then I also made a character. I got permission from Tom, and I had Sectarian come back from his sickness, and he got put through a Transevolver.
I know which one you're going with here.
And he came back and as Furious George.
It's a great card.
And I wish I could find. I have the original art, but I think I mistakenly gave away all my cards.
Oh no!
So I don't even.
I know I have one. I'll try and find out.
I don't even have one of my own to use. I think I gave them all because everybody wanted them.
Yeah.
I made like 25 copies, and they all went. And I forgot to save one for myself, and I'm like,
I've done that before. But thankfully, I've been able to print one up again for me.
So that was, that was. I haven't made nowhere near as many as you and Sam and a bunch of the other guys. Like I said, I have a shoebox filled with bootlegs, but those are the ones I made. I made a bunch when I was younger.
Yeah.
I needed guys when I created my own Fed starting off.
That's what I did too. Like I've calmed down. Like the NDW stuff, like I kind of spearhead it all, but it's more of a conglomerate of people involved. Which has kind of slowed down because we haven't been able to get together much because of COVID and everything. So that's why there hasn't been as many NDW sets. I don't know if I'll do any more sets or if I'll just do random cards to fill in holes.
Yeah, sets seem to be, at one point everybody was doing sets, and now it seems people are in them, because sets are expensive to make.
Yeah, especially now in color.
Yeah.
Color printing is not cheap.
$40 to even get the artwork made, and then you got to print them up.
Yeah, which is another, depending on how many you make, could be another $50 to $100.
And that's per card.
Yeah.
So you want to make a 10-card set, that that's
you're in the hole.
$500.
Yeah, and then people get mad if you charge $1 per card or something like that.
Yeah,
I got scolded by a guy. I forget who it was. I won't say his name, even if I could remember. But he sent me a message on the message boards. How dare you try and make money off of this game with your own stuff? I'm like, dude, I haven't even broke even on one card yet. No, I'm not making any money. I'm just trying to recoup. Basically, when you buy something from my site, it's covering the shipping and a little, maybe a little bit of the printing costs. But
like this set that I made here, it was a 5-card set. There's a manager called Executioner, and it's X-Executioner. Now in the game it was the Warden Brian Barrows, but I don't even know what happened to Brian. I'm like, drawing a warden, that didn't, So I drew the Executioner. That way I could have judge, jury, and executioner.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Which it makes a whole lot. But that 5-card set, I made 20 copies. I saved one for myself. I made sure I saved one for Paul Barnes, and the other 18 I gave away at the convention. But I only gave them to people who gave me stuff.
Yeah.
So it was just a way to return the favor, or people I knew and liked and had.
Yeah. That's typically what I would do with stuff when I came to conventions. Is I would give most of it away.
Yeah.
When I started bringing my wife along, that got tricky. She's like, "How much did you spend on that? And you're just giving those away?" It's like, I'm sorry.
No, the printer owed me a favor.
Yeah. I think like the first Galacticon in Philadelphia, I did a 4-card set that I just gave to everybody. She's like, "You probably spent like $500 on that." I go, "I don't know. I just thought people would like it." But it does get to a point where you're like, I don't know if I can continue to do this.
Yeah. So that's why I've thought of doing cards again. But if it's just going to be 1, maybe 2 cards at a time. Now, luckily I'm friends with, could I draw? Yeah. Am I good? No.
Yeah. Yeah, I did
No.
a lot of the artwork on my earlier cards myself. And then Sam had a friend, Chris Schiffer, who he's kind of lost touch with, but he would do all the stuff for a lot of our guys. He'd do the artwork for, but he didn't do color. So once that shift happened, and I'm getting better at coloring my own stuff, like the Agent Orange card that just came out, I colored that myself. And a lot of the art teacher that I work with at the school actually does a lot of the artwork for me, Chris Adamits. He does a lot of the art, and I colorize it.
I got lucky that Paul Barnes, he did my art here. He didn't charge me.
Yeah.
But I've also known Paul since he was 13. I'm like, I can give you money. He's like, nah. He goes, these drawings, they didn't take much. And he goes, he goes, they're just practice drawings for me.
Yeah.
He goes, if they turned out or not, he goes, that's what you were getting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, no problem. So that's why they're all different kind of styles. He was just testing out different styles.
Yeah.
For himself. Like,
that's cool.
This one looks different from his tag partner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not the same style. And then, the line work, like, he did more realism, and but none of them are super detailed. He just wanted to try different things.
That's cool.
Now, Randy, if I get Randy to do artwork, yeah, I've known Randy since I was like 16. He still charges me, and Randy charges quite a bit. But
well, that's what he does for a living too, though. So
yeah, that's his full-time gig. And now Randy's been really sick for the last, I'd say, 4 months.
Oh no.
Like, they don't think it was one of the things where it's not COVID, but he's got, one time he was hospitalized with tubes and everything else coming out of him. And he did the artwork for the Chaos card, and then it got shipped to a wrong address. Yeah. And those people were like, "Yeah, we never got it." So he's doing another free one, but then he got sick.
Yeah.
So he's got it like 95% done, and he's like, I'm dying here. Can you hold off a bit?
Yeah.
Kevin Butcher, he won the bid, so he's actually, he's going to get it. And I've showed Kevin, the almost done artwork, and Kevin's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not my artwork to show. So it's Kevin. So if Kevin ever, wants to make a card of it, that card will sell.
Yeah. 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 Kevin showed me. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So
yeah. That's pretty good. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy making characters, but and when I make a character, I just don't do it all willy-nilly. I try to have a thought behind it. Like when I think of a character, like I said, the whole circus, I probably had 15 characters lined up for that. Including the owner. Yeah. Who's just going to be a grumpy, miserable old, con man.
Yep.
And I had a carny, and just all kinds of random stuff. So it was almost going to be its own promotion. And
yeah.
That's what the whole premise was going to be behind. So eventually the whole circus was going to have its promotion. I think I was going to get it up to like 20 or 24 characters.
Nice.
And just have, and I was going to call it that, the Circus Wrestling Federation or something like that. It was just something simple, but that was the idea behind it.
I like that. You should do it.
And then after 4 people, it got canceled out.
Yeah. Yeah. I the same thing happened to us with our Filsinger Corporation sets. I think we did 3, and then we did a teaser for a 4th, and then the 4th never came out because everyone just kind of went their separate ways, and it just got to be too much of an investment, Yeah. And then I just kept doing some stuff on my own, but I was doing all the artwork and everything, so it wasn't costing me a whole lot other than printing costs, but it was black and white back in the day, so. Wasn't
If
too
I did
bad.
one, I don't know if I'd do color,
Mm-hmm.
because one, I think with color, people have an idea, and they're like, we've talked about it before on other shows.
Yeah,
So
yeah. What
like,
these guys would look like.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and so that's why I prefer to keep the black and white. As soon as you put color, you know, I had Comrade Terror as green. I know people who had him as red. I know people who had him as yellow. Now that
It
the
would
game
make sense for him to
officially,
be red.
yeah,
Because of
and
the.
the game officially made him green.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos, for me, Chaos is pale white skinned,
Mm-hmm.
like alabaster skin. He looks like one of the guys off of the Aliens movie, one of the builders.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I'd
That's the
like
type
to
of
see
skin I
more
have.
alien-looking characters in the game now that it's in color. It seems like everyone's Caucasian.
Yeah.
Throughout the galaxy.
There's a whole lot of tanned, muscular men out there
Yeah, exactly.
in every race.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I would just like to see more variety with that, just because it'd just be a subtle thing, like just the Neptunians are all blue.
Yeah.
Just something simple like that.
Yeah.
That's how DC Comics does it.
I remember the first time we were having Randy do stuff, and Randy's like, calls me up and he's like, Mike, how do I make a Titan look like he's going to wrestle you guys? Because he's thinking Greek gods.
Yeah.
Because he knew the game. And so he's thinking, how is this, 150-foot character going to wrestle this human? And how do I, so, he was like, do I have him holding him?
No, that's
Like,
just
no.
moon of Saturn.
Yeah. Explain that. And he's like, oh, okay.
That's good stuff.
But that's where I think the Anti-Men might have taken off so big.
Yeah, because they look like aliens.
Yep.
Yeah, they were animal people. Most of them. Some of them just had like pointy ears and stuff like that.
And that's one thing too that well, I did the Great Panther and Roar. I forgot.
Those guys are great. I love that art.
And but Randy, he goes, what are Anti-Men? And I'm like, well, they had the head, their heads animal-like and their body's human. So Randy made a tiger head and a panther head.
It's just like a photorealistic panther and tiger head too.
And so, but that caught on. People were like,
"This now everybody awesome. Does it that way."
And so a lot of people were doing that. And I remember, I think I was talking to Rob Bobby, and he was like, would people stop this?
It's so easy.
But it was a thing where you have somebody who doesn't know the game, and Randy, he doesn't play the game. And when it came to all the NGO drawings, he'd call me up because Chad sent me a package which I took over to Randy's, and I think it was a videotape and some magazines of just this is what they want. And when he made some of the characters, like one of the guys was Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, and I'm like, man, you really shouldn't do that. He's like, no one's gonna know. He's thinking it's an inside joke. I'm like, everyone knows who Richard Ramirez is.
Yeah.
You're not fooling anybody. And
that was the Apostle, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Apostle. And there's some of them, like the one thing that Randy liked to do was a lot of times the borders, he'd screw around with the borders.
I liked that.
Now, he didn't do it with everyone because
I remember the Draconian Sheik was like swinging in off the border, like she was pulling it down.
Akuma's smashing his open, and but he only did it because he asked me, he goes, should I do this with everyone? I'm like, no. Because he didn't want to, he thought he should do something with everyone, but he didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because if you do it with one out of 4 or 5, then it makes that one look special. It pops that one more.
Yeah.
But I just told him, I said, they're with the NGO, and you got to manage to fit the NGO somewhere on them. And sometimes you're looking, you know, like Mr. Frost, the NGOs on his buttons. Annabelle. Actually, she doesn't have one.
She wasn't a member of the
McDonald's
NGO, though.
logo. She's got a McDonald's
Yeah.
logo on her belly.
She wasn't a member of the team, though, was she?
Yeah, she's part of the NGO, 2002.
Okay.
But yeah, I can't remember. But you know, like Sensational Julian, he's a Sears model. That's where he got the face. He's looking through a Sears catalog. He's like, he wanted a smarmy looking guy.
Yeah, he pulled it off.
That's what he went with, a guy from a Sears catalog.
I love hearing those artists like interpretation stories, though, or where they come up with the stuff. It's great.
Oh yeah. So when Randy heard the you know, like, yeah, we're gonna have a Nazi in Baron Vast Deferens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so Randy jumped right on the Nazi. And I'm like, I don't think they wanted a Nazi, but because it takes him forever. He doesn't do rough sketches. He just does the actual drawing. And so, you know, once he finished the drawing, you know, he's like, well, you know, I'll make him a Nazi. I'm like, don't you dare use a Nazi symbol.
Yeah.
That'd be going overboard.
Yeah.
And so all these guys, you know, like the Dogfather, he's like, what is this? I'm like, well, and so he made, you know, the dog's head. I'm like, it's like an animal pimp. I'm trying to explain the Godfather gimmick.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, he used Shawn Michaels' body and, you know, a pose of Shawn Michaels from one of the wrestling magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And he made, you know, the Dogfather and Pat Crace. I think it's actually Don Fry.
Okay. I see it now.
Because Randy had no idea, you know, he doesn't watch wrestling, has no idea about it. And so it was just like, I need this guy. No one's going to know. Yes, Randy, every wrestling fan will know these.
Yeah. Hey.
We all know the Inquisitor is Mr. Perfect. You're not fooling anyone.
Right.
But he doesn't realize, or didn't, that how big a wrestling fans we were.
Mm-hmm.
Are.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you could put, you know, the Mulkeys as one of the guys, and somebody's gonna, oh, hey, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that face.
Yep. You can't get anything by this crowd.
No, like, you know, we know our stuff.
Yeah.
And this is pre-internet, so yeah, we were going over magazines and trading tapes, all that stuff.
Yep. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans for any upcoming bootlegs?
Not really. I've thought of a few things. I wanted to make the guy Holocaust. So Paul Barnes gave me a name. We used to play Blood Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a team called Nuclear Chaos, which was a mutant team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that'd be a great name for a GWF wrestler.
Yeah, it would.
And so it was going to be somebody from Holocaust Planet. So, because why don't we have more? Why don't, when we introduce a guy, a lot of times there's, you know, one character from that planet, like really.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
You know, Holocaust. He was going to have, you know, somebody from his planet called Nuclear Chaos, and he was going to be the bad guy. And I think I made mention of that before. I was going to ask Tom if I could run a side promotion, and then Mark Ashby created his promotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a whole list of guys, and one of them was Nuclear Chaos, and I've always wanted to make that character. So I've thought about doing that as well.
Cool. Yeah, I have a whole set rough statted for and storyline written for the next NDW expansion set for 2137. It's going to be called Royal Coup, but I never got around to doing it, and I kind of feel like I'm going to change format on that and just release the characters individually over time on the stream.
I also have get this. Randy did, because I had plans to do a group of people called the Gods of War.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Aries, Mars, and Tyre, or Tyr.
However you pronounce it.
Yeah, Kraken.
Kraken.
And so I've got the artwork upstairs for all those characters, but I slowed it down because Aries became one of the members of the GWF creator wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
But his stats were changed on the back.
Yeah.
And so I was going to redo it as an update and make the original character, and then make Jupiter and Tyre as the Gods of War, and they were going to have the Freebird gimmick where you could face any one of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so if anyone, I had the artwork all ready for those.
That's cool.
And it's it's Randy, so the artwork is top notch.
Mm-hmm. Make it happen.
And I've had that for probably, I'd say I've been sitting on those cards for about 15 years.
Yeah.
Because the character came out, so I'm like, I don't need to.
Yeah, that was Promoter Prime 2, I think.
Yeah.
Promoter Madness 2. So it was probably like 2008.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I've been sitting on that for a while.
Yeah.
But I think like Kevin Butcher also had Randy do some artwork for some Dorado Cowboys as well.
Yeah, I saw those. He shared those on the Filsinger Games message board not too long ago.
Yeah,
they look good.
Yeah, so those can be made into some pretty good guys too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I know there's a couple people who are just waiting for that 2137 set for NDW to come out, but I'm just in no hurry to do it. I'm having fun playing with the guys that I already have, because I'm actually taking my time and playing. I'm basically playing in real time.
Yep.
I'm doing 1 week worth of matches per week on the stream. I'm just having a blast doing it, like, because then everybody's watching it unfold and giving input and stuff like that. It's just been a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's good though.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. So I think I'm gonna slow it down. I will do the occasional character here and there, but as far as sets, I don't know if I'll ever do another set again. It's too much of a financial burden.
Yeah. Well, we should probably wrap this up here.
Yeah, we've been talking for a while on this subject.
Do our shout outs.
Yeah, we got the official Filsinger Games podcast, Roll Up. The Legends Teams podcast of Uncharted Territory. We have Grant on GWF Promoter on Twitch and YouTube. We have Lee Longpre's Dizzy Dice podcast. And on Twitch, we have myself and Sergeant Fragamal. He's on Saturday nights, I believe. And I'll put links to all these in the description. I need to update some links in previous videos. That's something I got to put on my to-do list for this week, to update our description to make sure we include all this stuff. And if you have any Filsinger Games related media that you'd like us to mention here on the show, just let us know, and we'll gladly give you a shout out and put the info in the description below. Because the more people that are talking about this game, the more the word spreads, and the more people will have fun with it like us.
And if you want to appear on the show, just drop us a line, let us know.
Yes.
If we can have the Butcher Clan on, we can have anybody on.
That's right. And if we've already talked, and if we haven't mentioned your character or talked about a favorite character of yours, there's a good chance we may have already recorded it, because we do record a lot in advance. So
we're roughly a month in advance. Like the Chiefs just beat the Bills in that crazy ass insane game 1 day ago.
Yes, and this will probably drop, a month from that.
Yeah. So, they're already celebrating their Super Bowl wins.
Yeah, there you go. They won't get to knock off Brady this year, though.
No,
Won't get their revenge.
they're going to take it out on Cincinnati.
You think?
Yeah, Cincinnati's going to bring back the Icky Wood Shuffle just for the
no.
playoff run.
Oh, the Bengals.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week. And next week's topic is our favorite bootlegs created by other people.
Yeah, this will be fun. Love bootlegs. All right, thanks everybody. We'll catch you next time.